Hey, dog fans. Welcome to another edition of Dog News Daily Live. I'm Chris Kiewert. That's spelled Chris Kiewert. This edition is brought to you, and as every edition is, brought to you by DoMyOwn.com. They're your source for all your home and garden and pest control needs. One product that gets a lot of love in our house and not fortunate for the bugs and the pests is actually the fly web light that we use all the time. It's got the little glue cards on the back. We place this thing and it just plugs in right there into a unit. You can see the little plugs there. We plug this in right to our back door, into a socket right into our back door. I'm coming in and out all the time, grilling out, um, letting the dog out. So I'm always in, and that door is always, a lot of traffic going through there. It is amazing how many, down here in the South, no-see-ums and flies that we are seeing get stuck on that thing at times. And we just change out those cards probably once a week, once every other week, once we get tired of kind of seeing the carcasses on there. But by the way, that card also comes in black, so you don't have to see the all the dead bugs on there. So it's not an eyesore. But that is a great thing. Every time we have friends or family over, they're always asking, "Hey, where'd you get that thing?" Geez, we always have bugs in our house. So that's something that is a fantastic item. Is that once again, it's a fly web light. Go onto the website, domyown.com, and check that out. Go ahead and make your purchase. I know it's getting here towards the fall and the wintertime, but go ahead and get it ready. Also at night, it works out as a good little night light downstairs for us as well at the Keyword House. So shout out to the guys over there at domyown.com. I know they're hyped up about this week's game against LSU over in Baton Rouge. So here we go. It's week 7 here of the Bulldogs, of the Bulldogs season. Can't believe the season's halfway through. Georgia's 6-0. Last week they go in, beat Vanderbilt, have another slow start here in the first quarter, and the defense, gave up some big runs against Vandy, but they created a lot of pressure up front there as the game went on. Jordan Davis, a big shout out to him on the defensive side of the ball, filling in there on the defense side when David Marshall actually went out with a foot injury. I'm hearing it's a hairline fracture of the foot. UGA is currently calling that just a foot injury. He's out indefinitely, so they're going to wait until my sources are telling me that a broken bone, hairline fracture there. They pull away, 41-13 halfway through the season. Georgia's 6-0 and really hasn't looked. If you read anything on the media, they haven't looked great. They haven't looked fantastic. They've played a ranked team. South Carolina was 24 at the time, week 2, when we go in there and beat them 41-17. But they really haven't seemed to, just to gel all along. They've, the defense seems to, they're working to gel and work out some spots. Really, the bright side of that defense is really what a lot of people thought going into the season would be kind of a weakness of the defense is the defensive backs. You got DeAndre Baker, which he's an All-American, probably a top 15 draft pick in the next year's draft class. But then you have Tyson Campbell. You got J.R. Reed, who's, he was there. He's a veteran. But then you had Richard LeCount, who is he's a missile going in and reaching out and hitting those guys. He's a weekly addition to Woo Wednesday if you check out our social media site. But the dogs just look good. They're doing enough. And by the way, they really haven't put it all together, but they're averaging wins by 30.2 points is the average victory for the Bulldogs right now. Haven't played anyone. I'm not counting South Carolina as a big component or a big opponent for the Bulldogs, but hey, they're putting teams away. They're 6-0, and actually this week, a little bit of history could be made. This would be the first time in Georgia football history if Georgia goes 7-0 in back-to-back seasons. First time ever for the Georgia football program. So Kirby Smart's got a lot going on and a lot of things going in the right direction at the University of Georgia. And here we go with going into week 7 against LSU. Before I jump into the 3-and-out report that we post every single Thursday, giving you just kind of a preview to the UGA upcoming game this week. Obviously, it's the LSU preview. and we're going to dig into that here. But check those out on Thursday. That's dognewsdaily.com, DAWG. Every Friday we're doing our, everyone can see that there. I'm wearing the red one here. We're doing our contest, trying to give some shirts away. Let you guys do some free marketing for us. But we're giving away the shirts. All you guys got to do there, out there, and the Twitterverse, on Facebook and on Instagram, like, share, or retweet the Dog News Daily homepage, please. And then also, we want you to go in there, guess that week's score. I got 31-20 Georgia. Wait a minute, I just gave away my prediction there. You don't have to wait till the end. But 31-20 is what I have, and then obviously the Bulldogs winning this week, and then we have also, you have to, for a tiebreaker, is you have to guess Terry Godwin's give prediction Terry Godwin's receiving yards. So something to check out. If you want some free swag, we definitely would appreciate you rocking the Dog News Daily shirts. But hey, what does it hurt to post one and chime in and try to win? So go over there to our social media sites and check that out. So here's our preview. Here's are the keys, and once again, that we talked about on our 3 and Out report on Thursday. We really find there's 3 keys to this game that are really difference makers in the game, and really difference makers in win or lose for the Georgia Bulldogs this week. This is the toughest opponent for Georgia season to date. LSU is a talented team, very talented team. There's some spots where they do have a weakness. They've been struggling for years and years to have a solid quarterback. They seem to have a solid quarterback. I wouldn't call him an elite or a great quarterback. He's good. He's good. He's more of a game manager. Not going to try to get you in too much trouble. It's actually Joe Burrow. He transferred from Ohio State, so it's his first year here with the LSU Tigers. So Georgia's going in. One thing that Georgia's going to want to do is they're going to want that Joe Burrow, the quarterback, to throw the ball, and that means stopping the run. A lot has been, so the defensive line is our first key to this game, and you're probably seeing them on every single 3 and Out report. But it's a big one for the defensive line this week, because they're down 3 guys. We have Devontae Wyatt, Daquan Hawkins-Muckle, and David Marshall, all 3 on the injured report. 2 for sure. Marshall and Hawkins are not playing this week. They're out indefinitely. Just mentioned the hairline fracture on Marshall. Excuse me, guys. Go Dogs. But that's a thin bunch right now. I mentioned earlier, Jordan Davis showed up and stepped up and had a good game last week. A lot of the veterans, Jonathan Ledbetter, are calling him out in their press conferences, talking about what they like, what they're seeing from the big man. Really, for that size, I believe he's 6'5", 6'6", 350. He's a big boy, and very athletic guy. So, Tyler Clark, who is the last 2 games have shown why he's elite and why he's got NFL prospects salivating over him. Julian Rochester, Ledbetter, as I just mentioned, Rochester, Allen. You're gonna have, and Malik Herring. Also look out for Notre Dame grad transfer Jay Hayes. All those guys are gonna have to take 20, 30 snaps a game here coming up against LSU. And really, what Georgia's going to try to do, and what we did against South Carolina, is go into the game, try to get a natural push up front by our defensive line, and get the rest of the guys get back and play a little bit of zone defense and force them to throw the ball. We create some turnovers and just get a natural push up front from that D line. Kirby's going to mix in some pressure, and probably going to be more of a wait and see before we do that. Probably be a little bit more of a base defense with trying to get just a push, and then we start applying the pressure there in the beginning. So defensive line, they're a key cognate to this game and to the game plan for the Georgia Bulldogs. So that's something that we're always going to be looking at there, especially early on in that game when it's loud. Death Valley is a tough place to play. So that's something that we're definitely keeping our eye on in a group. Another one is our second one is not a position this week. Actually, it's a player, and that player this week is Mecole Hardman. Mecole started out the season scoring 4 touchdowns, or scoring a touchdown, at least one touchdown in each game of the first 4 games of the season. You started getting some whispers there after the Middle Tennessee State game with the punt return that he might be on some Heisman list, the Heisman watch list. He's had a goose egg, at least on the end zone side, uh, you know, and not making it in the end zone the last 2 weeks. So we're looking for him. There's probably a good possibility. He's typically the fastest guy on the field at all times. It really doesn't matter who Georgia's playing. He is that fast. You saw a lot of his breakaway speed in several games already this year. He's electrifying a punt return. He's not just a guy that's going to go and catch the ball and wave his hand in the air. He wants to get some yards out of it. So, Miko's going to need to be featured in the other biggest game that we've had this year, South Carolina. He goes over 100 yards receiving, 6 catches, and he also has a run for a long 30-yard run. So those are the kind of you know plays that they're going to have Mecole utilized in. A lot of people are talking about the run game, and they're talking about the quarterbacks, and they're talking about the defense. Mecole Hardman's is an integral part, and they're always trying to find ways to get him the ball. As you can see in the game against Tennessee, there was a lot of movement in the backfield, a lot of people in motion. You change just he can do so many different plays having a man in motion, a tailback, coming across. So he's always had someone in motion pre-snap, just to kind of give a different look. But we can run the same play off of the same look, probably 3 or 4 different plays off of it. Look for that, Mecole to be in space, trying to get him the ball and get it upfield, get him in open space. He's a great player. He's a great player. Let's hope that he stays an extra year. I think that he'll have a lot of eyes on him at the end of the season, and he could be one that is an early entry into the NFL draft. So next up is the offensive line. Third and final one is the offensive line. Pro Football Focus is a stat website that we follow very closely. They do a great job over there, and what they have voted and have Georgia ranked the #1 offensive line in the nation. Now think about that, guys. This is a group that is 1 senior, 2 sophomores, and a freshman starting at the University of Georgia for the #2 team in the nation. The future is oh so bright for that group. When a guy goes down, guy gets hurt, Ben Cleveland's down right now. Cade Meigs steps in. He's a true freshman, starting and mauling people. He's an absolute mauler. Love him. So those are a lot of guys. That's a group that has done a good job using their athleticism, using their size, and leaning on defensive lines and tiring them out. That's why you're seeing when Georgia goes off to a slow start in the first quarter, the second and third quarter are really difference makers. And then in the Vandy game, that's when they pulled away. It was second and third quarter. That's when I think Georgia was at their best. The offense looked good. Really, I think what happened is they got them in that rhythm at the end of the second quarter with the 2-minute drill. Jake Fromm just looks amazing in the 2-minute drill, just getting the ball out fast, looking good. Ended up finding Riley Ridley for the touchdown there, to close out the half. And they go in, they get the ball, score again, and the game's over. But that's what Georgia likes to do. They want to lean on you. They want to hit you in the mouth. And that's something that this offensive line is going to have to do. But at the same time, LSU's defensive line is not very big. So Arianda at the LSU defensive coordinator uses a lot of blitzes. Devin White is a great linebacker. He is very Roquan-ish. He's very good. You'll see him in the NFL next year. Very good player, very fast. You'll hear his name a lot tomorrow in the game. But he is a guy that he's going to be blitzing. They're going to try to blitz and create a lot of pressure. The defense or the offensive line for Georgia has had some troubles with Tennessee, with Middle Tennessee State, with a couple other teams that they've had trouble with blitz packages, and that's something that they're going to have to pick up. The running backs are going to have to help them out and help chip away, and maybe keep one in. Look at the same thing with the tight ends, kind of going in motion and creating another blocker there for the team. So that's something that they're going to have to do. If they can keep Jake clean and they can keep a steady run game and open up some holes, there's no doubt this game is easy. And Georgia plays their best game. Georgia wins by 2 scores. Going into it, giving you kind of a game prediction and game preview of what we see it here at Dog News Daily and our staff is seeing. We're thinking if both teams play their best game, this is a 2-touchdown game. No doubt about it. It's a 2-touchdown game. It is Georgia overwhelms them and plays their best game of the season. Now, with that being said, Georgia's not really tested yet. LSU is a tested team. They have beaten Miami. They have beaten Auburn. Auburn has a great defense. Not a good defense, a great defense. Offense is a little shaky right now, but they have a very good defense. Coming off a tough loss, LSU's coming off a tough loss against Florida. We don't pay too much mind to that because that game is always a flip flop for between Florida, and LSU. That's always a flip flop game. Last year, I believe it was a 1-point victory. So that's always a flip flop game. Florida certainly looks improved and looks good, and Georgia's going to have we'll have another tough battle with them in 2 weeks. But that game, LSU had its chances to win the game, and someone could never get out of their own way. It seemed like the INT for TD kind of seals the deal for them at the end. That Burrow throws on the out pattern. So as I'd mentioned, LSU plays a lot of man-to-man on the outside on the defensive backs. So what that means is they're depending on the blitz from the linebackers from getting a natural push up front, which they struggle to do. And that means, and once again, LSU's defensive backs are very good. Greedy Williams, great name, by the way, for a cornerback. Greedy Williams and DeAndre Baker are top tier defensive backs, not just in the SEC and the nation. So he'll probably, not sure. I really don't know if he locks down on one side or if he follows guys around. I imagine he's going to stay to one side. So we'll have to be careful with that. But hey, if we can beat our man and get in win-win situations for the Bulldogs, we're going to go and do it. When a team like that plays man on the outside, it really opens up and is very beneficial for a team that does the RPO, run pass option. So Jake does it. Jake will run a little bit. Expect to see some packages with Justin Fields this week. Practice was closed to the media this week, so we didn't get a lot of chance to see if what kind of packages that they're going to put him in. Are we going to see Fromm and Fields on the field at the same time? I don't know. Is there an option type base play that killed LSU last week? Florida ran like a triple option type look, and LSU seemed to really struggle against them with that. So the RPO is going to be there, a tuck and run by Fields. Even Fromm getting, burning them, getting some yards on some thirds or second downs. Moving the chains is a possibility. One thing that I could see as well, and it was wide open in the first half against Tennessee, was the screenplay to Swift. Swift drops one. It's it's probably a 50-yard touchdown if he catches it. And then against Vanderbilt, Swift catches the swing out pass there. He's in space. He makes one guy miss and he's gone for the touchdown. So look for little dump offs to to James Cook. To Holyfield can do it, but look for Swift and Cook to be utilized here in that pass game as well. we expect a lot of the same in this game from Georgia. They're gonna kind of see what the team's giving them, meaning the opponent, and then they're going to utilize. Georgia can play up tempo. They can go. They can do the wild dog. They can ground and pound you. They can do the 2 minute offense. They're a talented bunch, and Chaney has done a very good job of utilizing so far all the talents that he has there in Athens. So we think Georgia starts off and second, third quarter starts pushing on them a little bit. Second quarter, we're expecting something like a 21-13 type of score, 21-10 type of score. Georgia, if they can keep their emotions and not turn the ball over, they overwhelm, and not keep the crowd in the game, overwhelm the LSU Tigers. They pull away and beat LSU at home. Our prediction is 31-20 once again for the score. We think it's a really good game. We're looking forward to it. This is a tough stretch for the Bulldogs as they have 4 straight games against ranked opponents with a bye here after this week's game. Coming at a good time. The Bulldogs are a little dinged up. So it'll come at a good time, kind of get re-energized, refocused, but all focus right now is on the LSU Tigers. Once again, shout out to our sponsors at domyown.com. We couldn't do this without you guys. And Bulldogs, if you're traveling down there to Baton Rouge or if you're in New Orleans tonight, be careful, be safe. We know, hey, we're a rowdy bunch at times when we're tailgating, but have a good time. Make sure you're making it into the game. For all you guys who are checking in, thanks so much. We appreciate all the support. And as always, go Dogs.